West Cork Beard Company make beard oil and beard balm for a strong, healthy, great-looking beard. Handmade from all natural ingredients in Clonakilty, West Cork. Check out their YouTube channel for beard care tips and advice, or catch them online at westcorkbeardcompany.ie.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Same Old Arsenal. We are doing a question of Arsenal today, and it's me. Craig's not very well. He's had a bit of a migraine all day, bless him, so he asked me to kindly jump in tonight with judges, which I've now done. And then Lee, going to have a bit of a chat. Well, we're hopefully going to answer some questions that you may have for us. Please feel free to put them in the chat. Good evening to you all in the chat room. I'm Dan Potts, the host, and I am with none other than my main man, Lee Judges. Lee, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, all good, all good. Now, this is a myth about Craig not being well, right? I think it's after his dancing session last night. I think that he's got an headache or something like that. And he's had to go to hospital and get the shorts removed. Something's happened there, So
they were tight shorts, mate. They were tight, weren't they?
Tight shorts, So if you've not seen Craig dancing, get yourself over onto my Twitter. It's on there on the Same Old Arsenal as well, just to see him dancing. It's quite funny, So that's why he's not here. I think, that or the shame of it. What do you reckon?
Bit of both, I reckon, mate. Bit of both.
Lee, happy St. Patrick's Day for all the Irish people out there.
I was just going to say.
You're going to say that, yeah?
Well, it isn't a pint of Guinness anymore.
Oh,
But
you're on the Guinness?
I am on one, mate. I did think to myself, it's St. Paddy's Day. I've off this week. Had a little bet on the GGs on the old Cheltenham, and I thought let's crack open a Guinness and say happy St. Paddy's Day to everyone.
Any winners?
Do you know what, mate? I started off all right, and I've just about broke even now. I think the first 2 days, so not great, mate, not great. But listen, there's always tomorrow, and there's always Friday.
There's always tomorrow. What are you more of the Derby, Cheltenham, or Grand National? What one you?
Cheltenham, mate. Cheltenham for me. Yeah, all day long. I love Cheltenham, mate.
The better one. I've been to the Grand National. Fantastic day. I have to say I've not been to Cheltenham. The only reason I've not been to Cheltenham is because it's always in sort of March. A bit cold for me. But
mate, no one likes the cold, do they? But I just have more beers and go home in your beer scooter then, don't you, Lee? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
That's the way to do it.
I might try and get there next year.
Yeah, do you know, I'd love to. Well, I'll just try to get women anywhere. It'll be nice.
Perhaps we go together. What do you reckon?
I'd take you, judges, to take you out. Maybe have a couple of half pints of Guinness, can't we?
Couple of half pints. Be lovely, you know what I mean? No, we'll do that. We'll try and set that up.
Let's try and set it up, mate. Happy St. Paddy's Day to everybody. Hello to everyone in the chat room. Melina's in the house. Shout out to Melina. Shout out to Albert. Shout out to Nigel, of course, moderating for us this evening as always. Nigel's been betting on the horses with me, and I don't think he's had about as much luck as me, bless him. So good evening to everyone in the chat. Lee, I'm going to start with this one because I'm going to ask people to put their questions in for now because me and Lee are more than happy to answer any questions you have on the Arsenal.
Anything
come out.
Any questions
you want. Anything you want.
Anything you
don't
want.
have to be about Arsenal. You can ask me or Lee anything you want.
Anything you want.
Absolutely. Someone said put the kettle on. That was a winner today, and that was what I was going to go for. Put the kettle on, but I didn't. That was a great horse, and it's old now as well. Done that over the years, and it bloody won today. And the only time I didn't put money on it, it romped it home. Unbelievable. Anyway,
not good.
Please put your questions in the chat. We will have time to answer them this evening. Lee, I'm going to start with this one, though. Arteta's come out today and he's given a press conference about the team news. He says there isn't too much damage in terms of players. It looks like Saka and Smith Rowe will both be looked at to see how fit they are for tomorrow. But it wouldn't be surprising if he rotates for that game. He's come out and said, give him a rest. He's come out and said that Aubameyang, it's all forgotten, he's all done, and he wants to move forward with it. However, he's not going to walk through into the team. But what was interesting for me was the Martinelli thing, because he's come out here, and I'm going to read it word for word before I ask you a question about it, because what it is this. On why Martinelli hasn't been playing. If anything, it is my fault. He's done everything perfect. He trains incredibly well every day. His attitude cannot be any better. He's disappointed he's not playing more, obviously, and I've spoken to him, but he needs to be a little bit patient. He had some minutes. He had some games as well, and it's true the competition for the front positions is very tough, but he needs to be patient, and he will get his chance. What do you make of that, Lee? Does he rate him, or is he giving it? What's he doing here, Arteta? I'm confused, mate.
I think he's got no answer to it. I think I think that he's decided to go on with other players, whether it be Pepe, Willian. That he's also said in there strong competition. Well, I don't see strong competition from Willian this season. And people go on about Willian. Yeah, he's done okay in the last few games. Okay, he's done okay. He's not been fantastic. So there is the kid's obviously doing what he's doing, and something's not going there. Listen, if it ends up, I'm very much in favour with Mikel at the moment, but he needs to sort this out because this kid's the future. He deserves more opportunities than what he's been getting. He deserves more opportunities than what Willian's been getting through play and things like that. So we'll have to wait and see. At least he's addressed it. I think at the end of the day, we now know that it's down. There's none of this. Oh, he's not fit, and I'm trying to ease him back in there. It's down to Mikel Arteta whether he plays him or not. And for me, at this moment in time, you'd have to say these last couple of games, Martinelli doesn't get in the side because Smith Rowe was outstanding on Sunday, and you got Saka, so he's going to have to be patient. But if Smith Rowe's left out on Thursday, probably because of the slight injury and whatever, and Saka there's two places available there. So one probably go to Pepe and the other to Willian. It's as simple as that. So, and for me, Martinelli's not going to get a look in again, and that's the way it is. And at the end of it, if he chooses to continue to play Willian over this kid, then we will end up losing him, and that'd be a big blow for us.
I totally agree, and I think that the good thing about this now is he's actually come out, been asked, and he's given an answer, and it's none of this, so we might start to see him a bit more now. That to me is positive, what he said there. As much as I don't believe him, I don't actually think he does rate him as highly as people would like to believe. I don't know why, because I think the kid, along with Saka and Smith Rowe, are the future, but I'd hope to see more of him over the coming games. This one comes in from Jashar. Great question, rolling back the years, this one. I firmly believe that if Ian Wrighty played with Vieira and Bergkamp for the same amount of time as Thierry Henry, he would be the highest goal scorer. In my opinion, Wrighty was a better finisher. What do you think? I'm going to take this one first, Lee, because obviously my favourite player is Ian Wright, isn't it? My favourite player ever is Ian Wright for the Arsenal. He is the best finisher. He is a better finisher than Henry. I think Henry had more and more about his game, and Bergkamp certainly was the best player, in my opinion, to ever wear the shirt. But Ian Wright was my favourite, and he was a finisher. He was an absolute baller. And the thing is with Wrighty is people just think that he was a tap-in. He scored them all, Wrighty. He'd score them from outside the box. He'd flick them over heads. He'd hit with both feet. He'd be running into the box late. He could have a dig from outside. He can create as well. I think some people look at Henry and Bergkamp and forget how good Ian Wright was. Would you say that was fair, Lee?
Yeah, I do. I think, listen, Ian Wright would turn around and say Thierry Henry was better than him. He has done, you know what I mean? I know that. But I think Ian Wright it will always be an Arsenal legend for what he done. He scored lots of goals for us. He actually scored goals in poor teams as well, with not the quality that Henry had around him. Let's be honest, And Ian Wright done it in cup finals. He done it in big games. So and I would say finishing wise, do you know what? I probably think that Ian Wright was probably a better finisher. I think more of a out and out goal scorer. Better footballer, no two ways about it. It was a Rolls Royce, Thierry Henry, where Ian Wright was a Jag. At the end of the day, or something like that. Still a fantastic footballer. But the one of the things is that and my dad even said this. When Ian Wright was playing, and he'd say, "Enjoy it, because we'll never see no one better than him." And then Thierry Henry come along, so that just shows you how good Thierry Henry was, So, and my dad,
I don't know about you, but when he did it on Wrighty, I thought, well, that'll be there for years. No one will beat that.
Yeah, exactly. And my dad's seen some good goal scorers down the line, at Arsenal, like Malcolm McDonald, out and out goal scorers, and Ian Wright was up there with them. I loved Ian Wright for his aggression as well.
I loved him, mate. Absolutely loved him.
Worked his absolute socks off, So
character and
an Arsenal legend. Forget about his match antics.
Yeah, we'll forget about that and move swiftly on. Matt G comes with the next one, which is a great question actually about Matteo Guendouzi. If Matteo Guendouzi was as good as Patrick Vieira, do you think that Arteta and the fans would forgive him for his attitude problems, Lee?
Of course. If she was as good as Vieira, you can get away with it. You know what I mean? Roy Keane was like a bit of a pain in the backside, wasn't he? Like, you know what I mean? And let's face it, Roy Keane was a bit of a pain in that. And the day his powers run out, they got rid of him. You know what I mean? So that tells you all you need to know. So unfortunately, Guendouzi's not got enough in the bank to do that. But listen, he's still young. People keep going on about, you know what I mean? When I was 18, 19, I was a different person to I was when I was 25, 26, you know. So, you know, he's probably a little bit arrogant, a little bit of that. He's still learning the game, still learning. I still think he's got a future at the club. I really do. And, you know, you're telling me that he's not an upgrade on certain players such as... And I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this now. Can Arsenal afford to just dump him unless they get good money for him? I don't think they can, because it looks like El Neni might go this season. Ceballos might be going back. We need some midfield players. And so, you know, Guendouzi will probably be one of them.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I really don't want to get rid of this kid. I think he's got something special, and I actually think alongside Partey, he would give an absolute run for anyone's money. I think he's got ability, and to be that young and that easy on the ball, sometimes he needs to be a little bit more intelligent. I think he does. You know, Fergus always says, "Oh, he flaps around and he's got his arms in the air." I don't think that's a lack of ability. I think that's in him. I think he's got that passion and that desire. But I would like to see that in an Arsenal shirt. I just hope he's not one of these Ravel Morrison types, you know, who's got attitude problem and never makes it in a game. I really would be ashamed for him as well, because he's got an amazing amount of ability, Lee.
Yeah, I do. I'm with you on that. I think that he's okay. I think, you know, as I say, I think he has got ability, and people forget that. Yeah, sometimes he puts as a man, but also you have to say, now, if he was in the team now with lots more options going forward, he might be even better than what he actually is. You know, like he's playing in a team that didn't have so many options. And listen, I remember him playing against Spurs. I think it was last year. Dragged the team through that game. So I've got a lot of time for him.
Fair play. This one comes from Melina. Good evening to you, Melina. Liam Potsy, if you could play alongside any other team that is any team other than Arsenal, which team would it be and why? Do you know what team I would have loved to have played in, Lee, that weren't on Arsenal's side? Pep Guardiola's Barcelona team, about 2006 to 2010. For me, that would have been an unbelievable team to play in, if I've got that question right. Because I just think that was probably one of the best sides we're ever going to see. I don't think we could see Xavi, Iniesta and Messi playing together. I don't think we're going to get that amount of quality together again, in my opinion. Lee, what would you say to that?
Yeah, do you know what? I like that. That's a good question. You know, I
it's a good question.
I think I would have liked to have played in Liverpool's dominant teams of the 70s and 80s, like, you know, playing alongside, like, for me, playing alongside someone like Graham Souness, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I would have loved that, going around kicking everybody and knowing that he can handle himself and look after me, like, you know. So a team like that, they were a great team back in the day. And I also wouldn't have minded playing alongside Eric Cantona. I have to say that. Well,
you loved Cantona, didn't you?
Yeah, I was a big Eric Cantona fan, like, you know. So I would have loved that. And if anybody ain't seen the film Finding Eric, get it on Netflix. It's a good film, like, you know. So so that would be the two that I would do, like, you know. But that Liverpool team of growing up as a kid was something special.
Fair play, and you heard it here first. If you haven't seen Finding Eric, then go and watch it, because I certainly haven't. So I'm going to need to watch that.
Have you not seen it?
I ain't seen it.
No. Watch it. You got to watch it, like, you know what I mean. Tell me what you think afterwards, like, you know. Great film.
I'll tell you what. If I come on here, or when we come on here again, I will let you know what I think of it.
Yeah, I bet you love it.
I bet I will. This comes in from Simpy. Big up, Simpy. Hope you're well, mate. Lee, I'm going to start with you on this one. If you could meet one player from the current Arsenal squad for a sit-down meal, who would you pick? You've already met Granit Xhaka, as Simpy has pointed out. I know Lee has chatted with Granit Xhaka. Who would you go for, mate, and why?
That is a tough one, isn't it?
I know who I'd go for. It'd be easy.
I know you're going to say. So, do you know who I would sit down and have a chat with? David Luiz.
Okay,
just
go
to
on.
see
Why?
what his career was like. What it was like, other than just being at Arsenal, I suppose. Yeah, I think probably David Luiz. I think I think he's an intriguing sort of personality. Obviously it would be Granite, but I've already had the pleasure. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think I would like someone. Like the two youngsters, obviously Saka and Smith Rowe, not really been about that much. So for the sort of questions that I'd like to ask. So I'd like to ask, about mentality. What's it like winning things? And what's the difference between the Chelsea teams that are winning things and Arsenal now and things like that. So yeah, David Luiz, I think.
I think he's won everything in the game as well, isn't he, Lee?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Luiz, he's won everything in the game. And from what I hear, he is absolutely amazing in the dressing room. And also, I know someone, me and Harry know quite a few people from who do the 90-minute podcast. And we've been on there a couple of times with them having a laugh. And they interviewed David Luiz and they said he was an absolute gentleman, one of the nicest men they've ever met. And they said, and he is so different to where you expect him to be. He's just the nicest chap. He's not arrogant, don't love himself, comes across really well, really kind, genuine, and he'll always ask how you are and what everyone was up to and who they all supported. Apparently he was an absolute delight. So I think it would be a very good choice. Obviously my choice is not going to be him. My choice is obvious. I think to everyone it's going to be Kieran Tierney. I think it's going to be very hard for somebody to displace Ian Wright as my favourite ever Arsenal player. I don't think anyone will. But if there's anyone in this current side that would come close, it would be this lad. I just love everything about him. And, I'm a huge fan. I know you quite like him, Lee, as well.
Yeah, I love him. I really do. I love that thing, the player cam thing. Have you watched that yet?
Fantastic.
Oh,
fantastic.
You know what I mean?
Wasn't it great? That's captain material, mate.
It was brilliant. If you haven't seen that, after you've watched Finding Eric, watch that because it's worth watching. You know what I mean?
Well, this is only about 9 seconds, so it'll be a lot quicker than Finding Eric.
Right.
But it's worth it, isn't it? And that's what I love about this kid. He's got passion, he's got fight, his desire, and I want to know where that comes from. Is it just his Celtic? Is it his upbringing? Has he brought that a lot across? Because for me, it's clear on a pitch to see how his passion and desire and fight to want to win has been brought over. And he looked like the captain to me on Sunday, Lee. I know Bamiyang was off and he had Laka with the armband, but I thought Kieran Tierney looked like the one that was leading everyone and he was shouting at everyone, and I love this kid. I think he could be exceptional. I don't know about you, mate.
Yeah, I do. Look, listen, he was when you play as well as you do, as he did, like on Sunday in the North London Derby, he's always gonna get your affections. But it was the way he went about it as well, So, and I really like him. I think he's got a great attitude, and I think he's one of the guys that you actually, if he was across the street, I would make the effort and go and see him. You know what I mean? So, 100%.
Absolutely. 100%. Another one from Molina, seeing as it's Champions League night. Lee, who do you think will win the Champions League?
Well, I hope it's not Man City. I'm going to be honest. I don't want them to win it. It's out of them and PSG, I think.
Same final as last year then. Same final as... Oh, no, sorry, you said Manchester City. I was going to go for Bayern Munich. That was why I said that. I think Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich.
I just think that PSG have just got the best player in the world at the moment, or potentially near. I think, if I be honest, Messi and Ronaldo are just starting to just come back to the rest of the pack. Yeah, and Pepe is just getting there. He destroyed Barcelona with the hat-trick, and it would make me laugh if Pochettino won it, you know what I mean, after Tottenham.
Wouldn't it just?
You know what I mean? So there's a part of that wants me to do it there. So yeah, I think that it'll be one. I'll be very surprised if it's not one of those two teams.
Fair play, Lee. Next one comes in from JSG. Do you think a club the size of Arsenal should be competing for the signature of Haaland if we are a big club? Lee, I'll let you start with that.
Of course. 100%. We won't be, though. Unfortunately, there are there's bigger clubs like Arsenal as well, in there. But if Man City or Chelsea come in for him, then we can't compete with them. Liverpool, Man United can't neither. That is a fact. But I do expect. I think that he'll either go to Manchester City or or Manchester United. And I think that if Manchester City genuinely want him, like they're going to let Aguero go this year, I think they've got some plans for it. Whoever Manchester City go. If Manchester City go all out for him, they get him, whether that's the one they want or not. And it doesn't matter if Arsenal are in there, like, you know. So unfortunately, that's the way of it is. But we should be in and around looking at those sort of players. We should never be thinking, we can't get that player because he's too much for us and all that. Like, you know, I don't think that should be the case. But Arsenal are not going to pay out silly money for him. They're not going to pay out that sort of money for Mbappe. We should have paid the money, the 100 million for Mbappe like 2-3 years ago, because we could have sold him for 160 million in a couple of years. But we never went down that route.
No, absolutely right. I think that the ambition needs to be there. And I think it was with Mbappe. I just think that we're never going to get him realistically. And I'm not so sure he did want to come to Arsenal as much as people like to think. Same with Haaland. I think that if we went to him with an offer for Dortmund, I think Man City would probably be the place he'd go, or Real Madrid, or even Bayern Munich. Because don't rule out Bayern Munich getting Haaland, by the way, because they always seem to do it. Did it with Lewandowski, didn't they? So let's see what happens here. Quick one from Patrick. Will Arteta start with El Neni tomorrow, Lee? Possibly.
I think Granit Xhaka will be rested tomorrow, so Ceballos will come in. I wouldn't be surprised if Partey don't play. The both of them don't play, but I think Granit Xhaka may be rested. Partey maybe start and come off, but I think either El Neni or Ceballos will definitely play. Will start tomorrow. Yeah, you can't keep playing Granit Xhaka 90 minutes. Somewhere along the line, he's got to have a break.
Fair play. Albert's in the house. Albert, big up to
you.
Albert. Good old boy is Albert. Wanted to ask you both, what do you think went wrong for Bruce Rioch when he was appointed as Arsenal manager? What a good question, Lee.
Oh, what went wrong? It just wasn't right for. Well, I'll tell you what went wrong. He clashed with Ian Wright. Simple as that, like, you know.
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
That was probably where he went wrong. He tried to show his authority too much, and it didn't work, you know. And I think that he was never really. It was dead man walking, because I think before that, David Dean always wanted to get Arsene Wenger, but Arsene Wenger still had a year left of his contract. So that's why they appointed Bruce Rioch. So he was never ever really the first choice. But just, you know, look, listen, if things would have worked out for him and done well, don't forget he got us to the Europa League that season after a pretty poor season the year before. So he wasn't as bad as what people make him out to be. But once Ian Wright put in a transfer request, that was the end for him.
I 100% agree. Jamie Clinkett, shout out to Jamie. Thanks for watching, Jamie. In a few years' time, the club will come out with an Arsenal Hall of Fame. My question would be to you both: who would be your first inductee and why? Judges.
First inductee, Tony Adams, just for being the
Mr. Arsenal.
Just Mr. Arsenal, his loyalty and everything like that. Pleasure of meeting Tony, and the only person I've ever been nervous about meeting at Arsenal, but really, really nervous about meeting.
Apart from me, blimey.
Apart like that, I was never. You was never in the Tony Adams category. I'm sorry, Dan. But do you know what? Because he was what he was for Arsenal, and
of course.
I was like, you know, a bigger thing for him. Like, you know, someone's put in there. Rocky definitely would be in the top 5. David Rocastle. Liam Brady would have to be in the top 5. Patrick Vieira for me, and Dennis Bergkamp and would be in there. Thierry Henry would probably be in the next category, because I'm going to say this now. As much as I love Thierry Henry, and he says how much he loved Arsenal, he left us for Barcelona. I know for whatever reason, you know what I mean. Like, Bergkamp stayed for Arsenal for as long as he could. Vieira touted with Real Madrid a couple of times, but it was ultimately like he wanted to stay at Arsenal. So there's a lot. Listen, there's some fantastic footballers to go there, but for me, the first one that I just think that Tony Adams just epitomised everything of Arsenal. Successful 80s, 90s, and 2000s. He managed. He captained Arsenal to titles. you know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I would have gone for Dennis Bergkamp because he's the best player to ever wear a shirt, but I don't necessarily think that means he should be the first name that's in there. I'm going to agree with you. I think Tony Adams. Yeah, very good question. Very good indeed. If you can pick one player from Callum from our past to play for this current team, who would you pick, lead judges?
Current player?
No, player from our past to play for this current team.
Well,
I think I'd go Patrick Vieira from our past. Because I think that's what we need, is it?
Do you imagine him and Partey playing along each other?
That's what I mean.
So, yeah, Patrick Vieira, but very, very, someone like, but if we had Henry, that would make a big difference to this team as well, like, you know. So, I'm with you, Patrick Vieira.
Good man. I just want to clear up saying, Ollie, I did not say that Ian Wright is better than Thierry Henry, but I did say that he was my favourite player. Thierry Henry is much better. There's a difference.
My favourite player is Charlie Nicholas. Never the best player for Arsenal, though.
There we go.
I'll tell you what, just because he's the best player might not necessarily be your favourite.
Absolutely. Yeah, Henry, I mean, Bergkamp was the best player for me, but he wasn't my favourite player. Yeah. So there is a difference, in my opinion. Right, let's find another question. Was one, it's just shot all the way down to the bottom. Can you believe it? Unbelievable. Yeah, and that's the thing, Lee, isn't it? I mean, your favourite player, did you say Charlie Nicholas? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Charlie Nicholas. That's his picture up there. That's a picture. That's his shirt up there. Signed.
His shirt signed. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, brilliant stuff. Right, I'm caught up now. The next question is going to be.
You know what? Same while we were looking at those questions, my favourite players probably wouldn't be in the new. Wouldn't actually get into the top 5 best Arsenal players of ever of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know. So with my favourite players, Paul Merson was a big favourite of mine. Would probably be in the top 5 greatest. Patrick Vieira would. It was a big, you know what I mean, was my...
Yeah, you love Vieira, don't you?
Yeah, in that era of that time, he was my favourite, like, you know. I'll tell you what, I had another a little crush on, not so much now, but was Edu. I loved him when he played for Arsenal.
Yeah, I think a lot of us did.
Yeah, absolutely loved him, like. But Paul Merson was a big favourite. Aaron Ramsey was a big favourite of mine, not necessarily the best player, but I like what the endeavour of him and what he could do and whatever. Obviously, Cesc was one of them as well, like, you know.
Yeah, so, I love Fabregas. I was gutted when he went, absolutely gutted. Yeah. I was. That's why I was probably hurt as much as Henry going. Actually, that one for me.
Ray Parlour.
Oh, mate, who are Ray Parlour? Everyone loved Ray Parlour, didn't they? Absolute legend. This one comes in from Patrick. Which young championship player would you have at Arsenal? There's a couple of them that are shooting about at the moment in there in terms of young championship players. A couple of championship players I would have. I would have Buendia. I don't particularly think he's young from Norwich, but he's certainly one I would have into this Arsenal team. I think Ivan Toney is one that playing for Brentford. I think a lot of people would have. I'd probably go for him, Lee. Would you agree?
Yeah, I like them. What's the I'll tell you the player. I had the privilege of going and watching Kevin's boy played for the under 18s or under 20s for England a little while back, and his brother plays right back for Rangers.
And you're talking about Marcus Tavernier.
Yes, Tavernier.
Middlesbrough.
Plays for Middlesbrough. He was absolute brilliant, standout player watching that England side. So
Where's he play, Lee? Where's he play?
He plays in midfield, like midfield off the right, midfield. Oh my! I watched him in that game and I thought, he's one to look out for. He was at Middlesbrough and he hasn't quite kicked on, but he was a fantastic player, definitely better than his brother. So that was one there. Tony's the other one I'd look at Brentford, like, you know, like him.
Fair play. The other one that's decent, everyone's talking about, is this Reading lad, Michael Olise, is it? Apparently he's absolutely, is it Olise? I don't know. I don't know how to say his surname. Olise. Apparently he's top class, and everyone's talking about him. So
I'll tell you where I'm going to be biased as well. Tyrese was doing really well until his injury. So he was. So unfortunate, but So
he could come up to big things, couldn't he? He's only a young lad as well. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's got the ability. He's got the pace. He's got the power.
100%, mate.
Yeah. So unfortunate injury has curtailed him a little bit, but he'll come back from it. But Yeah, so that was a good question. Another good question coming in there.
They're all good questions. I can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
Give
We've
it a
got
tell.
an intelligent lot here, haven't we? Watch us. You know what I mean?
There's great stuff. 133 people whacking their questions in. I'm trying to get through as many as I can. Going to tell, do you think Arsenal will have a new captain next season? All depends on Aubameyang, doesn't it, Lee?
Yeah,
What do you reckon?
Not until he leaves. Not until he leaves.
And if he does leave in the summer, Kieran Tierney?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be in it.
Nailed on.
It has to be, in my opinion. This is a great question from Marco. How many signings are we away from being title challengers? Great question, Lee. I'll let you go first.
4 to 6.
Okay. What positions?
Right back, central midfield, central defender, forward. So that's 4. Need another midfield player as well. It depends. Like if Odegaard stays, then maybe 5. But I'd love us to sign him. By the way, you know what I mean. And I like. We need what I would say a proper centre forward, someone that can hit it, hold it up, and score goals. We've got 2, but one of them does one, and the other does the other.
Listen. I think right back, back up, left back, centre midfielder next to Partey, creative midfielder, and a striker. So that's 6 for me. Yeah, they're the ones I'd go for.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, mate. This one comes in again from Jamie. Arsenal's legendary squad number. That's a great question for me.
Who's put that in there, Jamie? Jamie. That is probably that is a fantastic.
I know what I'd go with.
Well,
do you want me to go first?
I think I think 7's going to be the one.
Yeah, that's the one for me, mate. It's got to be 7
because, but you could go 10 with Dennis Bergkamp. Paul Merson wasn't really legendary. I don't think until them 2 come into it.
Gallas.
Yeah, so like that dents it a little bit.
I would go number 7.
Thierry Henry, of course, 14 comes into it now with Aubameyang. It has to come into it. 8 will always be a big one as well because that had obviously Ian Wright. It had
Freddie
as well, so Aaron Ramsey as well. So that's an iconic number. But I just think 7 maybe Perez, Brady,
Rocky.
Alan Paul played that one there. Rocky, Kevin Campbell played 7 as well.
Yeah,
Kevin chose 7 because he felt it was to do with Rocky as well, and it was an iconic number. It's not, like when Liverpool, you go, right, what's the legendary number? It's number 7 for Liverpool, like, do you know what I mean? Like number 11 probably for Manchester United and 7 because of best player. 7.
Cantona, Ronaldo, Beckham.
So like 7 with that. With Arsenal, it's not really, you could say, nailed on, you know what I mean? Like legendary, number 4 is quite legendary when you look at the players that have gone. I think 2 of the best players to ever play for Arsenal in the last 50 years have played in the number 4 in Patrick Vieira and Per Mertesacker. No. Cesc Fabregas. So that is a real iconic thing. But I still think I'm going to say 7.
Yeah, I'm going to totally agree with you. Next question is this one. Callum Wall, how would you rate our season if we win the Europa League and finish 8th? Dan, for Cheltenham, 120 tomorrow. Chatham Street lad. If anyone wants a tip, Lee Judges included, then Callum says the 120 at Cheltenham tomorrow.
Well, Callum, I will have something on that tomorrow then, like, you know what I mean? And if it doesn't win, I'll be coming to find you, all right? Because I will have a little fiver on that. I'll have a little Big Mac on that tomorrow, and let's see what happens.
There we go. How would you rate our season, though, Lee? If we Europa League win, that would be more than successful for me. What about you?
Listen, trophy, Champions League, success.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Right, here we go. This is a good question. Do you know why I like this one? Mate, I'm miles behind. I can't even keep up at the moment. There's so many questions here, so I'm trying to keep
down as a legendary number. That means he's on his 3rd Guinness, I reckon.
3rd Guinness. Oh, I reckon there's more than that if it's Trev. Bless him.
Yeah.
Lee Irish Mix says this: why is the atmosphere not great at the times at the Emirates, and how can it be improved? That's a great question.
Listen, it can be great. It depends on the opposition, and it depends on the fans, because I've been at the Emirates and there's been some fantastic atmospheres. But the fact of the matter is, it's who's there and who's playing, And I do think that because all the sort of modern all the modern stadiums are like that, Everybody said Tottenham's ground was going to be fantastic because they got this wall there, and all that. Spurs fans have been disappointed with the atmosphere. That I speak to, considering what it was like at White Hart Lane, I think old school grounds give a bit more atmosphere. Old Trafford is not nowhere near as what it was. And I can tell you that Anfield is not. If you've never been to Anfield, when the Kop was the Kop, when it was all staying, and you'd go there now, it's a complete. You'd be disappointed. I've experienced both, and it's unbelievable. When it's nowhere near like it was back in the day. So I just think it's modern day football. That's how it is. The other thing with modern day, because you've got a seat and all that, people come in at 2 to 3 or 5 minutes before kickoff. Back in the old days, you had to get in there an hour before the game, So, I think it's just changed. It's just simple as that.
Fair play. This one comes in from Tofa. If we get back in the Champions League, what high-profile player would you bring in if possible? Good question, Lee. What would you go for?
Brilliant question. I think we've got to go for some high-profile striker. I would like to see something like that. Jack Grealish or someone like that, someone different. I'd really like to see Arsenal make a statement. If we can't get the best player in the Premier League, go and get the best player in Germany, or go and get the best player in France. That's what I would like for us to do. Holland would be like a perfect example. Listen, if we got to Champions League, that could well happen. Who knows? But somebody like that, proper centre forward.
Yeah, for me, it'd be Haaland. And if we can't get him, as I don't think he'd be realistic, then Jack Grealish is a great shout. I still think that's a brilliant signing if we get him. But here we go. I'm going to run through this one quickly. Rory, if you could pick the Arsenal best 11 of all time, who would it be in the team? I think me and Lee have done that previously in the past, to be honest. So if you do fancy watching that on Guns and Yellow Ribbons, then please do, because we've both done that. Lee from Stefano, which FA Cup final did you enjoy the most? For me, it was 93 replay against Sheffield Wednesday. The late winner was just the best. What FA Cup final did you enjoy the most? I mean, that's obvious for you, is it, Lee?
For me, the Chelsea one. Chelsea won 2-0. So when we won 2-1, I thought it was a great day. We was never favourites to win that. I thought we was a better team all around there. Went to 1-0 up, cruising. They get a player sent off. Typical Arsenal, we concede with 10 men, and then Aaron Ramsey straight down the other end scored that goal. I just think that was a great final. Atmosphere-wise, just everything about it. So that would be the one for me. I have to say the whole one as well, for atmosphere and everything like that would have to be up there. And I know this sounds silly, that the most comfortable one was against Villa, because it was so comfortable. It wasn't the. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, the Chelsea one for me.
Yeah, 100% for me. It's the Chelsea one. The other one I absolutely loved as well was the Man United one on penalties, because we didn't deserve to win that, and it was just brilliant.
Great one.
It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. This is a really good question coming in now from Gunatel. Who is your favourite Arsenal YouTuber or Arsenal podcast panelist? I'm going to start. I absolutely love Clive Palmer from Arsenal Vision. I think everything he says is absolutely spot on, and I'm a huge fan. So I will have to go with Clive. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Lee Judges. That's why we get on so well. I've got to throw that in there. That's a good one, isn't it?
That's a tough one to say, like, you know what I mean? I've always loved Claude. One of the reasons that I went on AFTV and followed AFTV was because of Claude. I know he can be a miserable sod at times, but I would have to say, and I've got a great friendship with him as well. So for me, Claude.
Fair play. I love Claude as well. Arsenal's most underrated ever player. This is a fantastic question. I'll answer first. I'm going to go for Gilberto Silva, I think. because everyone said when he didn't really see what he did on the football. As soon as you watch a game of football, you don't really see what Gilberto Silva's doing. If you watch Gilberto Silva, you'll understand how to play a game of football. That guy was so underrated. He was unbelievable. And everyone said, oh, well, we don't need him. We've got Vieira. And he got injured. And we went to pot, didn't we? And I thought, wow, we really need Gilberto Silva back. And I actually think that he left in a bit of sad circumstances, really, the way that he kind of was brushed aside, because he was one of the only invincibles that come over to the Emirates with Kolo Touré and Thierry Henry. And all three of them kind of left, I think, with Freddie. And then it was all just over, wasn't it? In like a couple of seasons. And I think he was pushed out because Wenger wanted the Fabregases and Flaminis to be brought forward. And Gilberto, for me, I think, along with Ray Parlour and Carnu, I'd say they're probably the three that come to mind. But you might go back further, Lee.
I'll go back further than that. Definitely, Paul Davis would be one of my. I think was a great player. Never really got the credit that he deserved. You know, when he first came into the Arsenal team, got stick in the early 80s, and he come through that. I'm going to say a player that I think doesn't get the credit that he deserves, whether he's underrated or not, would have been Martin Keown. They always talk about the famous back five, this and this and that. I thought he was a fantastic defender.
He was.
A real fantastic defender.
Kevin Richardson.
Richardson, would have to be up there because he come in and done a fantastic job for us. Nigel said in the chat there, Brian Marwood had a sensational season for us in the 89, got injured towards the end of it and was forgotten. So, would be definitely there as well. But for me, those guys definitely, I think Edu as well, going back into the 2004, everybody talks about the Vieiras and Gilbertos, and he gets left out, and he was a quality player. So they'd be the ones for me.
Fair play. Marco comes up with one that I have heard before. Who deserves to have a new statue at Arsenal outside the Emirates League?
For me, I would go, the statue, I've said it will always would be the David Rocastle and Ian Wright. Get them both on there together when Ian Wright's laying down and that iconic picture. So that's the one that I will go for because I think both deserve it.
Yeah, listen, I think that's an obvious question for me. Lee, you're going to be able to answer this one better than me. This comes in from Lewis. Best away day you've ever been to in England and also in Europe?
Oh, best away. Do you know what? For it ain't the greatest ground, but for everything else about Newcastle away is great. You know what I mean? It's a great night up there. Great love, great atmosphere. But the actual game ain't the great. The best place to ever go and what best away ground that I've ever been to for atmosphere and everything like that was West Ham, the old West Ham Upton Park. We always done pretty well, but it was a fantastic atmosphere, close on your old school. So it would be for that. In Europe, I think Barcelona's a disappointment for people that have been there. For me, Munich was great, but we got beaten 5-1. So I would say, but I'll tell you what is a very, very, Bayern Munich.
Fair play. Best away day I have had is the Nou Camp. And unfortunately, we lost. It was the one that Van Persie kicked the ball away and got sent off. Never should have got sent off. And then Bentner went through right at the end and missed. And if Van Persie was still on, we would have gone through. I'm not bitter about it. But that was the one I went to, and I absolutely loved that one away. So I'd have to go for that. This is a good one though. This is coming from Will. Gentlemen, what does Pepe need to do to play and start more than 2 games in a row? Great question, Lee.
I don't think there's anything more he can do. It's the manager's preference at the moment. Would you back against the 2 players that he's got in here at the moment, Saka and Smith Rowe? He's got to produce performances like that, and he doesn't do it consistently enough. I think that he's done really well in the last 5-6 games. And if I'll be honest, I think he's a little unlucky. If I'll be honest, a little bit unlucky, but just be patient. When you get your chance, produce.
Yeah, I think I'm right. Listen, I don't understand this manager. I'm still not 100% convinced. I'm liking what I'm seeing of late, however, but I don't get his team selections and his man management of players, and Pepe's a player that I really don't understand what more he needs to do. Trev's come up with the best question of the night, which is, what do you dislike the most? What team do you dislike the most, and why have you said Tottenham? He's definitely had a few, as Trev, 100%. Bless him. I do love Trev.
He ain't wrong, though. He
ain't wrong at all. No way. I think we've done that one. I'm kind of catch up here. This is getting good now. I'm going through them all. This is a good one. Which Arsenal badge do you prefer? The Arsenal old, or the classic one, or the gun, or the one now?
Just the gun.
Yeah.
Back to the 70s one, like, you know what I mean, was just iconic. So just the cannon. I don't dislike any of the badges, though. Do you know when some people like, you know, like a few of the lot that are in my group and all that, like, you know, the old Chinese tours, we have the flag with the old Arsenal badge, you know what I mean? So I'm not against the new one or anything like that. I think they're all right, but just the cannon for me back in the 70s is the one for me.
I think I liked the 2000-ish one when it was the old Victoria Concordia Crescent.
I
liked that.
That was great.
I liked that. I did like that, I must admit. This is a good one. This is going to be one of our last ones of the night. Tucky, player you most admire that has never played for Arsenal. Ooh. Is it going to be Eric Cantona, or have you got someone else in mind?
Yeah, well, listen, I was a massive fan of Eric Cantona. Like, for someone that doesn't play for your club and was your rivals for a little while, I did enjoy watching him play. I liked him about him, the little dirty little side to him as well. Can't help it, like there was that little side to him, you know. So he would have to be there. Listen, I had a good fortune to go into the Champions League final, watching Real Madrid versus Juventus, and Ronaldo then was sensational at the peak of his powers with Real Madrid. But yeah, I think that Eric would probably be the one, like if anyone, like, you know. But I'll tell you another player that I've always admired, still like him there. For me, the best English midfield player for a very, very long time, Steven Gerrard. I was a big fan of his as well.
Yeah, I must admit, I did a 1-11 with Craig the other day, and I left him out, and I felt gutted because I always liked him. You know, I put Scholes and Vieira in the middle, and I think that it's so hard leaving Gerrard out. I mean, how can you? I wanted to play three in midfield, if I'm honest, because I'm a huge fan of Stevie G. I also like David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne of modern times. Two fantastic players that I didn't play for Arsenal that I'd love, but the one for me is obvious. Is Messi. He's best player ever in my opinion, and watching him live, you just see it and think, I don't think there's anyone as good. You know, it's just ridiculous.
I like the only thing I didn't like about Messi, and maybe because it was against Arsenal. You know, he obviously scored the 4 goals, but I remember him coming down to the Emirates once and watching him, and he was diving about trying to get people sent off and all that, and I went off him a little bit for that. And that I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And I think that, you know, there's a lot of hate I have for Ronaldo because of doing the same stuff. And obviously he used to do it at Man United. And, you know, he's class as well. Both of them absolutely amazing. I don't think Haaland and Mbappe will ever be a Ronaldo and Messi. I still don't. I think they've got the potential to be very, very good. But I still think that it's going to be hard. We're going to end with this one. I think it's obvious. Being St. Paddy's Day and all that, who is Arsenal's greatest Irishman?
Do you know what? We've had some great Irish players, you know, going back from Pat Rice was fantastic for us. David O'Leary, fantastic. Frankie Stapleton. But for me, there's only one.
Obvious, isn't it?
The
obvious
king.
One, isn't it? Yeah.
The king of Highbury, Chippy Liam Brady.
I think you're right, mate. I think it's obvious, that one. It has to be. We're getting quite a few coming in here. Someone said Roy Keane. I think he's talking about the other question previously.
Yeah,
David O'Leary is a great show.
Very, very underrated. Has just come up there. And, you know, when you talk about centre-halves, you always go Adams, Bold and all that. David O'Leary was a class defender. Probably before his time. If he'd play now, he'd be like gold dust because he could play.
What was he like though, Lee? Because he was a bit before my time. Obviously, I've seen sort of bits and pieces. But was he like a Tony Adams, John Terry, or was he more of a Rio Ferdinand, like ball playing
More like
defender?
a Rio Ferdinand, like, you know, he was one of those defenders. Didn't get dirty shorts. He had pace. He had vision. He nicked the ball. Reliable. Very, very rarely injured, and a very, very nice bloke as well. Like, you know what I mean? So,
There we go.
Nowhere near like. I went up, I had a dinner with him one time, and he was sitting there, and they was doing an auction, and he was sitting there going, I hope people bid on it. And I went, what do you mean people? Of course people are going to bid on it. You know, your Arsenal's ever most appearances. You know what I mean? And that's how humble he was. Like, you know, I thought he was a fantastic player, but I've never had the pleasure of meeting him. My brother's had a bloody game, bloody Spurs fan as well. He's had a bloody round of golf with him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really got that over me, like, you know. But he was just the really one of the main reasons that I supported Arsenal growing up as a kid. You know what I mean? Just watching him play. If you've never, look, you know, like these are things you got to go and watch. Finding Eric, the Tierney talk thing, and watch the 1979 FA Cup final. Watch Liam Brady in that game.
Well, do you know what? I've watched 2 of them, so Finding Eric's the only one I've got to go and do. And I must admit, Liam Brady, it was just unreal. It's just embarrassingly good, wasn't it? Let's be honest. By far the head and shoulders above the rest. Trevor agrees. He says, Chippy, we've got here from Will O'Leary. So many appearances, but it has to be Liam Brady. Eddie McGoldrick gets a shout.
Eddie.
Old Eddie, O'Leary and Brady. I think we've pretty much cleared that up, to be honest with you.
Got to mention Sammy Nelson as well. Sammy Nelson.
There we go. I said that was the last one, but this really is the last one because it's a great, great question. And we are going to win that here, guys. So thank you so much for tonight. It's been absolutely, I'll tell you what, Lee, there's been some blinding questions tonight in the chat. There really has. Absolutely superb. This one, 89 was a great film. What other moment would you like made into a film? I guess it means Arsenal moment. There probably hasn't been one as iconic ending-wise as 89 as a great film. We'll go with football moment and we'll go Arsenal moment. What would you like made into a film? That is a great question. Isn't it?
Pat Jennings, Jamie just mentioned, by the way. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I was going to mention Jennings. That is a great shout.
I think it would be a great film, like, because if it was a film, it wouldn't probably be believed would be the Invincibles.
I agree.
It's
got to be the Invincibles, hasn't it?
Yeah, like, you know, like you'd have a film. If you was watching it, you think, oh no, they're bound to lose one game. It ain't real. Do you know what I mean? So I think that would have to be very much in there, like, you know. And but I'll tell you another film would be really good, and it probably doesn't get, and it should get a little bit more, is the 91 team. Because they lost just one game. Tony Adams went in prison. It could be a good film, you know what I mean? Like, there was the brawl at Man United.
Man United.
It could be a good film, that could, like, you know what I mean? So,
what a great question.
Yeah, great question, that. Like, you know what I mean? Fantastic. Some fantastic questions today, boys.
Oh, unbelievable. And so it was first time I've done this, obviously. It's something you and Craig normally do on a Wednesday. So pleasure for me to come on here with you, Lee. Obviously, always an absolute legend speaking with you. But I must say, there has been some great questions. I've enjoyed it. And it's flew by, isn't it? We have 53 minutes now.
The Arsenal Stadium mystery. Have you seen that film?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
The old black and white.
Highbury. Black and white at Highbury. I have seen that.
Stadium mystery got it. That'd be good. Yeah. What brilliant. Like, yeah.
There it is. Keith Samuels, the Arsenal Stadium is. Well done, Keith.
Well
great
done.
Stuff.
That was a great film. You just had to watch it because it was Arsenal. You know what I mean? Nothing to do with Arsenal. There was, but someone gets.
Well, it was at Highbury. That was about as far as he went.
Yeah, someone gets murdered on the pitch. Quite a good film as happens. Like, you know what I mean?
It actually was, to be fair. Lee, always a pleasure, mate. Before we let her go, going to get a prediction for tomorrow. What do you reckon it's going to be? I've
said already. I think we'll win 3-0 tomorrow, and I'm feeling that the boys will turn the corner, and I think that we'll nick it 2-1 on Sunday. So the hope that kills you, but there you go. That's what I'm going like, you know.
There we go. Trev's going for his legendary 4-0, so he certainly has had too many Guinnesses.
He's had Trev is on the beers, let's be honest. Like,
he definitely 100% is, and I love him for it. I'm with Topher. I'm going to go for a 2-0. I think we will win 2-0 tomorrow. We're definitely playing a lot better, and let's long may it continue. Let's hope we can do some form of consistency now, Lee. Just be nice to have 3 to 5 wins in a row.
Like, that's what we want. That's what we want.
100%. Guys, thank you all so much for tonight. It's been brilliant to have over 150 of you at one stage watching, asking us questions. I hope we've got through the majority of them for you. Please join us on Friday night. Hopefully you'll enjoy Foreman and a Mike tomorrow night as well. Friday night at 7 o'clock will be the Arsenal West Ham team talk with myself. Sophie Nicolaou's coming on from the Highbury squad, and we've also got Dan Lawless from West Ham Fan TV as well. Yes, that should be a good show. But until then, guys, we'll see you later. Up the Arsenal.
See you soon.